In the frozen heart of North America, survival is not guaranteed for any creature, predator or prey. The gray wolf, one of the most studied yet misunderstood animals on Earth, has roamed these landscapes for over 1 million years. In the next hour, you will learn how these animals think, coordinate, endure, and sometimes fail, and why every meal they earn may be their last. Gray wolves were nearly wiped from the continental United States by the mid-20th century, with fewer than 1,000 individuals remaining outside of Canada and Alaska by the 1960s. Their reintroduction to Yellowstone in 1995 became one of the most closely watched ecological experiments in history, reshaping rivers, forests, and entire food chains simply by their presence. A wolf pack is not simply a group of hunters. It is a tightly bonded family unit, typically led by a breeding pair and composed of their offspring across several generations. The so-called alpha is simply the parent, and most decisions about movement, rest, and hunting are made through subtle body language rather than aggression. Wolves in winter can travel up to 30 miles in a single day while searching for prey. Their large, slightly webbed paws act as natural snowshoes, distributing their weight across the surface and allowing them to move across packed snow with remarkable efficiency. The behavior of walking single file, each wolf stepping directly into the footprint ahead, is a deliberate energy-saving strategy. In deep snow, breaking a new trail burns nearly twice the calories of following an existing one, and in a season where every calorie counts, this discipline can determine whether a pack survives the winter. Elk are among the primary prey species for gray wolves across North America's northern range. A mature bull elk can weigh over 700 pounds, and even a cow elk in poor condition presents a serious physical risk to any wolf that gets within striking range of her hooves. Wolves do not simply chase and catch, they assess. Before committing to a hunt, a pack will often test a herd for minutes, watching for animals that limp, lag, or react more slowly than the rest. This selection process ensures that wolves predominantly remove the weakest individuals from prey populations, a role that strengthens herds over generations. The hunting success rate for wolves is lower than most people imagine. Across multiple long-term studies, wolves fail in roughly 80% of their hunts. Each unsuccessful chase burns precious energy that must be recovered, making every decision about when and what to pursue a calculation with real consequences. An elk's hind kick delivers a force estimated at over 2,000 pounds per square inch. enough to shatter bone. Wolves bitten, kicked, or gored during hunts represent a significant portion of wolf mortality in the wild. And injuries sustained during a failed hunt can leave an animal unable to participate in future hunts for days or weeks. Once a chase begins, wolves rely on stamina rather than raw speed. A wolf's top speed reaches around 35 miles per hour, but their true advantage is cardiovascular endurance. They can sustain a pursuit for miles without the metabolic collapse that overtakes most prey animals in deep snow. Ravens have followed wolf packs for thousands of years, a relationship so old and consistent that some researchers believe it influenced the co-evolution of both species. Ravens alert wolves to carcasses from the air, and wolves in turn open carcasses that ravens cannot breach alone, a partnership between two highly intelligent animals that benefits both. At temperatures below -30 degrees Fahrenheit, exposed meat can freeze solid within hours of a kill. Wolves must eat quickly and in large quantities. An adult wolf can consume up to 20 pounds of meat in a single feeding, because what is not eaten will soon become inaccessible even to the animals that killed it. Bison are the largest land mammals in North America, with adult bulls exceeding 2,000 pounds. They survived the last ice age, outlasted the woolly mammoth, and for thousands of years numbered in the tens of millions across the Great Plains, until human hunting reduced the entire population to fewer than 1,000 animals by 1889. A bison's defensive circle is one of the most effective anti-predator strategies observed in any large herbivore. By placing vulnerable individuals in the center and presenting a wall of horns and mass to any approaching predator, bison can effectively neutralize threats that would easily take down a solitary animal. The relationship between wolves and bison is ancient. Long before European settlement reshaped the continent, wolves and bison coexisted across millions of square miles, locked in the same predator-prey dynamic playing out in the snow today. The bison's defensive instincts and the wolf's tactical patience are the product of millions of years of mutual pressure. The gray wolf's bite force measures around 1,500 pounds per square inch, nearly twice that of a large domestic dog. Yet biting is rarely the first move in a confrontation with bison. Wolves understand instinctively that a direct attack on a defended herd is a risk that can cripple a pack member for weeks. A single kick from an adult bison can crack a wolf's ribcage or shatter a leg. Young wolves, typically under 2 years old, suffer the highest injury rates during hunts, as they have not yet developed the timing and spatial awareness that older pack members refine over years of experience. When When a hunt fails, wolves do not simply rest and try again. They continue moving, sometimes covering dozens of miles in the hours following a failed pursuit driven by caloric need and the biological pressure to keep the pack fed through a season when prey is scarce and energy demands are at their peak. The wolverine is pound for pound among the most aggressive mammals on Earth. Weighing rarely more than 40 pounds, wolverines have been documented driving grizzly bears off carcasses through sheer persistence and ferocity, a behavioral strategy rooted not in recklessness, but in the wolverine's remarkable pain tolerance and flexible, almost rubber-like skeletal structure. A wolverine's skull and jaw are built to crush frozen bone, one of the few animals capable of accessing nutrients locked inside carcasses that have frozen solid in winter. Their teeth exert enough force to snap through the frozen femur of an elk, allowing them to survive on remains that every other scavenger has abandoned. Wolverines are also solitary and maintain territories that can span over 600 square miles in low-density northern habitat. Every frozen carcass, every cached piece of meat represents a critical investment, which is why even a single wolf is not enough to make a wolverine abandon what it considers rightfully its own. The gray wolf's act of licking snow is not casual behavior. In extreme cold, wolves obtain most of their hydration from the meat and blood of prey. But during long marches between kills, consuming small amounts of clean snow serves as a necessary supplement that helps prevent dangerous dehydration in dry, freezing air. Mule deer are named for their large, mule-like ears, which can rotate nearly 180 degrees independently of each other. This gives them a near-constant awareness of sounds from multiple directions simultaneously, one of the most sophisticated auditory detection systems of any North American ungulate. A mature mule deer buck in winter carries antlers that he will shed within weeks of the season's peak. Those antlers, grown and shed annually, represent one of the fastest growing tissues in the animal kingdom, capable of adding an inch of new growth per day during the summer months when nutrient availability is high. The choice to hunt near a river is rarely coincidental for wolves. Riverbanks concentrate prey animals that need water, compress terrain in ways that limit escape routes, and provide wolves with the tactical advantage of forcing prey toward an obstacle, the freezing water, that they themselves may be reluctant to enter. River ice in northern North America can be deceptive. A surface that appears solid may conceal fast-moving water just inches below, and prey animals, particularly deer and elk, instinctively avoid crossing river ice in winter, knowing that a fall through the surface in sub-zero temperatures is almost always fatal. The rearing behavior of a cornered mule deer is not panic. It is a calculated last defense. A deer's front hooves, driven downward with the full force of its body weight, are capable of delivering fatal blows to wolves, coyotes, and even mountain lions. More wolves are killed by prey animals during hunts than most wildlife documentaries suggest. Wolves are not reckless about water. While capable swimmers, crossing a freezing, fast-moving river in winter poses a genuine risk of hypothermia, a threat wolves appear to weigh instinctively. In temperatures below -20 degrees Fahrenheit, a wet coat loses most of its insulating ability, and a wolf that enters icy water risks a dangerous drop in core body temperature within minutes. The mule deer's willingness to enter the river was not simply fear overriding reason. Deer are strong, efficient swimmers, and their hollow hair shafts, each individual strand air-filled like a tiny flotation device, provide both insulation and natural buoyancy that helps them cross water that would quickly overwhelm most predators following behind them. A wolf pack that fails 3 hunts in succession faces a compounding crisis. Each failed pursuit burns between 3,000 and 6,000 calories per animal, and in deep winter, when prey is scarce and temperatures are extreme, consecutive failures can push individual wolves, particularly older animals and pups, into life-threatening energy deficits. A lone bison separated from its herd is in a fundamentally different situation than one protected by the defensive circle. Bison are highly social animals, and isolation, whether caused by injury, age, or becoming separated during a storm, removes the collective protection that makes them nearly invulnerable to wolf predation under normal circumstances. The frozen lake surface beneath the wolf's paws is a surface wolves use deliberately. Ice compresses the terrain and removes the deep snow that slows pursuit, giving wolves a speed advantage over heavy-bodied prey whose weight makes each step on thin ice a potential hazard. Wolves have been observed herding bison and elk onto frozen water with apparent strategic intent. A bison's neck is among the most heavily muscled structures of any land animal in North America. The thick hump of muscle behind the skull evolved not for display, but for function, powering the side-to-side sweeping motion used to clear snow from grazing areas, and absorbing the impact of head-to-head collisions during rutting season. The throat bite used by the alpha male to finish the kill is a technique refined over thousands of generations. By targeting the trachea and major blood vessels of the neck, wolves end large prey quickly while minimizing the time they spend in close contact with hooves and horns, the most dangerous phase of any hunt for an animal the wolf's own size. An adult bison carcass provides approximately 400 to 500 pounds of usable meat, enough to sustain a pack of 8 wolves for nearly 2 weeks if the cold preserves it and competitors can be kept away. But in the boreal forest, a kill of this size rarely goes uncontested for long. The red fox watching from the tree line is not simply an opportunist. Red foxes frequently shadow wolf packs during winter, a behavior documented across northern North America and Eurasia. They are too small to compete directly, but fast enough to dart in and retrieve scraps the moment the wolves move away from the carcass, a survival strategy built entirely around patience and timing. The golden eagle is among the largest birds of prey in the northern hemisphere, with a wingspan reaching up to 7.5 feet. Despite its size, it poses no real threat to a wolf pack, but eagles are remarkably patient and have been known to wait hours near a carcass, reading the social dynamics of a pack to identify the precise moment when scraps become available. Grizzly bears emerging near wolf kills are not a coincidence. Research in Yellowstone has documented grizzlies actively following ravens, which circle loudly above fresh kills, to locate food secured by wolves. In some years, grizzlies displaced wolves from their kills in more than half of observed encounters, representing one of the most consequential kleptoparasitic relationships in North American ecosystems. A grizzly bear's forepaw swipe generates an estimated force of over 800 pounds, and the claws themselves can reach 4 inches in length. Despite this, wolves do not simply flee. Pack coordination effectively neutralizes the bear's size advantage by forcing it to defend attacks from multiple directions simultaneously. A tactic that exploits the bear's relatively slow rotational speed. Grizzly bears and gray wolves have coexisted across northern landscapes for hundreds of thousands of years, and both species appear to carry behavioral memory of the other. Wolves adjust their hunting patterns in areas of high bear density, and grizzlies in regions with established wolf packs show measurably different foraging strategies than bears in wolf-free areas. The decision to allow pups to feed first from a hard-won kill is one of the most revealing behaviors in wolf pack social structure. It reflects not hierarchy in the traditional sense, but parental investment. The entire pack, including non-breeding adults, participates in raising the alpha pair's offspring, a cooperative system that significantly increases pup survival rates. Wolf pups are born blind and deaf, weighing less than a pound, and spend their first 3 weeks entirely underground in the natal den. By winter, the survivors of that litter have grown into animals capable of traveling with the pack. But they will not make their first significant contribution to a hunt for another full year. Requiring the pack to carry them through their most vulnerable period. The silhouette of bison moving across a winter ridge against a fading sky is one of the oldest images in human visual memory. Cave paintings at Font de Gaume in France, dating back over 17,000 years, depict bison in nearly identical poses. Evidence that the relationship between humans and these animals stretches back to a time long before recorded history. When bison and wolves shared a world that looked much like this one. In the depth of winter, a gray wolf pack that has successfully made a large kill defended it, fed its young, and survived without critical injury has accomplished something that fails more often than it succeeds. The night that settles over the boreal forest carries no guarantees. Only the certainty that tomorrow the search begins again. And that is where we leave them tonight, resting beneath the falling snow, having earned one more day in a world that offers no easy path to survival. Every animal you watch today has spent its entire life fighting for what we take for granted: warmth, food, and safety. If you stayed with us until this moment, thank you, truly. This channel exists because of you, and every view, every comment, and every subscription tells us that you want to keep learning about the hidden world that exists just beyond what most people ever see. In every video we make, our goal is simple: to bring you closer to the real stories of animals, told with real facts, in a way that stays with you long after the screen goes dark. If this video taught you something you did not know before, share it with someone who would love it too. And if you want to know what happens next, in the frozen tundra, in the deep ocean, or in the heart of the jungle, stay with us. The next story is already waiting for you.